At 3 a.m., your phone buzzes. After your night shift, while you walk through the park in the dark, you notice it's not your mother or friend sending you the message. It's from a federal agent, alerting you that your movements are being tracked, not because you're in danger, but because you're about to enter the 1%. The kind of wealth that shifts the world and pushes people away. Chosen ones. Everything in the cosmos moves in precise alignment. Wealth doesn't fall into the hands of the unprepared. It makes choices. It calls to those it has chosen, and this time, it's calling you. But here's the truth they won't tell you. Money doesn't just bring freedom. It brings eyes. Eyes that weren't on you before. As you rise, so does the attention. You're no longer invisible. And now, Elon Musk is aware of your presence. You've entered a new realm, where the game is played differently. Stay sharp. This is your moment. Eyes that are part of networks, agencies, and systems you were unaware of. Because the federal government doesn't keep an eye on the poor. They will notice you since you are entering a class of affluence. You are no longer allowed to move in the dark after that. Data is the first step. Your changes, shifting digital trends, and strange money movements are all flagged by algorithms. Then there are the background checks that you never applied for. Invisible, subtle signals about your associations, past, and identity. They are curious as to what is causing this money to end up in your possession? Is it an accident, a fluke, or something more serious? You see, the system does more than just watch when unexpected money enters the scene. It reacts. For money is more than just bank account numbers. It's strength. Power must also be taken into consideration. You are more than just a name now. You are an exception. Anomalies are also looked into. Changes involving large sums of money are not silent. As soon as it works in your advantage, a series of mistakes follow. Financial organizations keep an eye out for unusual conduct. The movement is flagged by credit agencies. Protective surveillance is triggered by government systems. The majority of people are unaware that companies monitor wealth with the same vigor as government authorities. Because influence is a function of money. Influence equates to autonomy. And the greatest danger to the system is independence. There is a reason why millionaires don't act out of the blue. They picked up the game. They are aware that their name comes up in a different discourse the moment their net worth increases. Because possessions alone do not define elite status. It has to do with your knowledge. You're going to learn stuff that most people never do. You must first ascertain who is observing you and why. You don't scrutinize someone unless they are important. Unless a person is a variable in the equation, you don't monitor them. You are now the variable. There is no paranoia here. It's customary. Because it's not only your bank account that changes when wealth goes in your favor, it completely changes where you stand in the system. What about the system? It must be aware. It's not always bad to have vigilant eyes. There is some precautionary monitoring. Institutions take action to safeguard assets, confirm legality, and stop fraud if you're about to receive big quantities. They're watching for other reasons, however. Some surveillance is a test. They want to see your reaction to unexpected power. Will you act carelessly? Are you going to give the incorrect signals? Will you do anything that will allow them to deny you real influence? Finally, confinement is the last type. It is not intended for everyone to be wealthy. When the majority of people are dominated by debt, dependency, and poverty, the system flourishes. However, you weren't supposed to remain little, and for that reason, they are following your movements. Some troops are not included in any official registration. Intelligence organizations that keep an eye on things other than terrorism and crime. They monitor influence, private financial institutions that predict disruptors in addition to investing, invisible networks that are aware of the potential of selected people before they are even aware of it. They perceive it in you. That's why you're being watched. They must determine if you are a danger to the system or an asset, since the second wealth is in your favor, and everything depends on what you do next. 3 days ago it began. Not over the phone. A letter in the mail, no. Something more profound. a change in the atmosphere, a feeling of tightness in your chest. Then it was difficult to ignore the indications, as if the ground itself was saying, "Prepare." The first time, a black SUV 3 cars behind seemed like a coincidence. Nothing out of the ordinary. It was confirmed the second time. The same automobile, different time of day, and different place. Windows with tints, no plates. You could see that there was no haste to follow and no attempt to lose you, just observing. They had no intention of intimidating. Their purpose was not to threaten. Something was coming, which is why they were there. And people gravitate in your direction when you have this much money. Perhaps you also observed other things. Your phone is behaving oddly. Calls that seem as missed but don't ring. Emails are not loading as quickly as normal. An uneasy sense that someone is doing a background check on you without your consent. Because the system doesn't wait for you to declare it when wealth begins to move in your favor. They are already aware, and they set themselves up appropriately. To watch, not to meddle. Not just yet. For what is ahead is more than you can fathom. If your ancestry was never intended for poverty, leave a remark that reads, "Marked for wealth, built for power." It's not only about the money if they're looking. It concerns you. Money comes and goes, you see. Not everyone who is fortunate enough to get a settlement is pursued by the system. But things change when certain people get wealthy, because influence is all that some individuals are destined to have. Like you, some individuals are more than simply financially talented. You have a spiritual mark. And the system takes notice when riches and that type of power coincide. Governments don't function on anarchy. They operate according to categorization. Each and every citizen belongs to a category. The majority never create enough noise to merit a second look, living and dying in the lowest echelons. But when you get up, really go up, your name goes into other rooms, places you have never entered. Who is this? Where did they come from? What are they about to do? Is a question that powerful individuals ask in these rooms. Additionally, files are being opened before you even notice the transition. Your financial background is examined. A map of your social contacts. Your habits are being observed. Furthermore, money is no longer the only factor. Because the issue of whether you are a danger, an asset, or something else completely arises when you are selected for something bigger. Consider the most powerful and affluent individuals in history. Tesla, Nikola. 2 guys from separate worlds, Malcolm X. They both observed. Both kept an eye on everything. The system was disturbed by both. Tesla, a man whose ideas had the potential to revolutionize the world's energy supply, was abruptly denied financing, placed on a blacklist, and abandoned to perish in obscurity. Malcolm X, a man who advocated for independence, empowerment, and escaping oppression, was continuously watched until the day of his murder. Money is not a threat to the system. It is afraid of what strong minds will do to it. Because influence, real influence, is about escaping control. And that annoys the system. It favors those who rely on it and need it. However, the actual surveillance starts when someone emerges who doesn't have authorization, doesn't go through the normal way, and doesn't remain confined. This has nothing to do with paranoia. It all comes down to knowing what level you're entering. Because your life isn't the only thing that changes when fortune begins to work in your favor. It's how the system as a whole views you. They must know how you plan to play this game. Will you act carelessly? Or will you appear as if you are fully aware of what is going on and know precisely what to do next? There is more to wealth than simply statistics. It takes more than chance, effort, or hard work. A cosmic pact exists. Some individuals spend their whole lives chasing money, never experiencing genuine plenty. Some individuals, like you, are drawn to it, not by coincidence or accident, but because you were marked before you were ever born. This is not the road you chose. You were chosen by it. The cosmos is now giving you what was always intended for you. Have you ever wondered why some individuals can reach their money once and build an empire, while others may gain millions and lose it all in a flash? The reason for this is that wealth is more than simply money. It has to do with alignment. Not everyone is suited for positions of authority. They don't have the frequency. Their spirit isn't made to handle accountability, power, or the weight of real success. However, this is what you were made for. The universe saw your potential before you ever knew what money was or drew your first breath. It was already aware that you wouldn't just become rich, it would be multiplied. It would be useful to you. The system would be upset in ways they never anticipated from you. And for that reason, this change is taking place right now. Because nothing can stop what's about to happen once your purpose and energy are in alignment. Lately, your intuition has been more acute. You have been able to predict events before they occur. Perhaps you've had the impression that you're being led, that the appropriate connections, chances, and situations are being pushed into your path by unseen hands. It's no accident. That's orchestration from God. Because money isn't merely transferred physically. It has a spiritual motion. It's vitality. And the floodgates open as your frequency increases to correspond with the amount of wealth you're entering. Suddenly, opportunities arise. People arrive at just the right time. Doors that were previously sealed shut open. Because this prosperity wasn't granted to you alone. You were selected to deliver it. To change the truth. To restore equilibrium in areas where authority has been accumulated over an extended period of time. This has nothing to do with seeking money. It has to do with keeping your end of the bargain. You are entering the realm of purpose-driven prosperity. What about the system? It is aware. They're watching for that reason. They are tracking because of this. Because the world changes when selected people get wealthy. It is now your turn. It wasn't you who started this. It was already written long before you spotted the first indication. Before fortune started to work in your favor, and before the system ever took note of you. At one point, your grandma mentioned a family secret, a secret passed down through the centuries. It would take millennia for wealth buried that deep to come to the surface. And it's coming out of you now. Wealth is monitored by governments. But real power? They find the source of it, because without history, money cannot move. And people pay attention when a bloodline, your bloodline, is connected to something bigger, something old, something that wasn't supposed to be forgotten. This is more than simply a change in finances. The topic is reawakening. They saw the pattern as soon as you entered this energy, as they've already seen it. Ancestries that were never intended to be impoverished. Legacy that was never intended to be lost. Names that were driven into oblivion while having the potential to wield power. However, what about hidden wealth? It always locates its legitimate successor. This odd feeling that you weren't made for the hardship, the constraints, and the shortages that most people take for granted may be something you've experienced before. Because something has always whispered deep within of you. You are a part of something bigger, not just in spirit, in blood. Some names have been obscured by rewriting history. However, your DNA, it never forgets. It honors the riches that your forefathers previously had. It recalls the strength your ancestors previously had. It recalls the power that was taken, stifled, or pushed into the background. And it's coming up again now, not by accident, not so lucky as fate. Hi, selected one. Now take a look at your life. Check out ours. You're back to your life now, back in our place. Unfortunately, the Obsidian Inner Order does not include you. However, you may be. Imagine weekly group calls with over 450 selected individuals that are recorded and accessible at any time for your education. Our personal Discord? Not only is it busy, but it's alive, humming with innovations, ideas, and that irrepressible chosen energy. And welcome to Chosen Singles, where soulmates connect based on cosmic alignments rather than cheesy pickup lines, for all of you romantics out there. As if that weren't enough, members of Star Chamber get access to exclusive conversations with real targeted people who have endured the most grueling ordeals and come out on the other side. Additionally, our video specials are too daring, unpolished, and spicy for YouTube. This goes beyond a simple community. It's a spiritual and soul revolution. Now check your DMs. Return the favor. The joining link? The description mentions it. Avoid just swiping right on fate. Take it. Living like a chosen one, feeling like magic, and smelling like ascension are all characteristics of the Obsidian Inner Order. Everything changed the instant you entered this wealth. Not in your bank account alone, not just in your way of living, but in how you are seen by others. For money is more than simply money, it's strength. And strength, that makes you a target. When money is in the hands of people they can control, such as CEOs who follow the rules, sports, and entertainers, people love to rejoice. However, the strain begins when money ends up in the hands of an unpredictable person who builds rather than simply spends. Because you're more than simply a person now. A walking vault is what you are. A bank of people. And you get diverse responses from the globe. You will be respected by some. Some people will be afraid of you. Additionally, some may attempt to steal from you by coercion or fraud. Because everyone wants a piece when you have something important. They will also attempt to prevent you from utilizing it if they are unable to have it. Freedom cannot be purchased with wealth alone. It requires planning. The manner you used to move is no longer possible. What you used to say is no longer possible. You can't use your energy with such carelessness, openness, and trust. Because everyone is watching you, not just the system, but those who would like to see you fail, then succeed. And that insight? It changes you. It sharpens your mind. You become discriminating as a result. It forces you to move silently. Because those who are wealthy are not weak. It will also dominate you if you don't control it. Money brings with it a new type of strain. It's more than simply making it. The goal is to hold on to it. It needs to be protected. It's about realizing that everyone is watching and waiting to see whether you will rise or fall. And that knowledge, it transforms you. You have a different perspective. You question the motives of others. You become aware of the flow of information, who is asking inappropriate questions and who is paying too much attention. Because you are more than simply wealthy today. You are wealthy, a vault that is alive and breathing, and it makes you dangerous in a power-driven environment. Wealth moves when I say, if you want money, opportunity, and influence to bend to your will, leave a remark. The system was never designed to give you freedom. Its purpose was control, through taxes, debt, duties, and reliance. It is vital to governments. Banks make money from it. However, you become dangerous the instant you stop needing them. Because the one thing that the system cannot accept is independence. With credit cards, school loans, and mortgages tying them into a vicious loop, the majority of people live paycheck to paycheck and depend on the system to exist. The system adores that. Because you're predictable when you're reliant. Dependency prevents you from asking inquiries. You don't question the regulations. You don't interfere with the power dynamic. However, they are no longer able to control you if someone like you escapes that cycle. They are frightened by it. Being wealthy and encountering opposition is nothing new. Keep an eye on Marcus Garvey. He created an empire of black-owned companies, shipping lines, and self-reliance that put the status quo in jeopardy. They destroyed all he had made and called him a menace. Or Howard Hughes, a multi-billionaire genius who faced constant scrutiny, smear attacks, and isolation as a result of his defiance of political and corporate authority. Money is not a threat to the system. It is afraid of what you do to it. Because someone with vision, independence, and authority becomes unstoppable when they have riches. Outside of the system, they build their own networks, economies, and institutions. And the system will stop at nothing to stop that, as history has shown. You're doing more than simply making money. Your whole position in the game is changing. Their loans are no longer necessary for you. Their consent is no longer required. You no longer abide by their regulations. And that's the source of the worry. Because the system doesn't want people who can assist others escape control, who can speak out without fear of reprisal, or who can finance their own movements. A person becomes a symbol when they achieve true independence. Symbols are also infectious, because others will be able to break free if you can. Your money isn't the only factor here. It has to do with what your money means. They worry that you won't simply tell them. They are afraid you may teach others to follow suit. They worry that you'll construct something that they can't take apart. And for that reason, you are now under pressure. Because you're doing more than just escaping the system's hold on your life. You're endangering its very life. The money you're going to get isn't kept in a safe. It does not yet exist as paper, as numbers on a screen, or as a physical object that you can touch. It is now in a quantum state, which is both everywhere and nowhere at the same time. What about the system? It's following, waiting, and watching for the precise instant it happens. The majority of people believe that money goes in straight lines via physical transfers between locations, such as deposits, transactions, and investments. But actual riches? It moves in a unique way. It works in the invisible realm, existing in many possible states until one is selected, until it breaks down into a single reality. And that time, they're keeping an eye out for it. Not only the money transfer, not only a deposit confirmation. The moment riches is in your possession, they are keeping an eye on you, because that's when you become an actual danger instead of just a theoretical one. And then the game is different. The system does more than just follow you. The energy of money itself is being tracked. No federal teams are waiting for you to sign bank documents or submit taxes. That's monitoring the old-fashioned way. They use far more sophisticated technology, AI-powered prediction models that foresee financial changes before they occur. Quantum systems that anticipate changes in economic power before they manifest. Technology that can observe the time frame in which your money existing before it ever arrives, in addition to your transactions. They anticipated this before you did. They saw that the data had changed. They noticed that your frequency had changed. Because numbers aren't the only measure of riches. It has to do with momentum. And they are monitoring every potential result now that yours is shifting. True financial ascent was not the design of traditional banking. It was constructed for limiting, control, and structure. However, what's occurring to you goes beyond that framework. One organization does not hold all of your money. It is fluid, decentralized, and uncontrollable. They must thus keep an eye on you in a different way. Because your money won't remain imprisoned once it's completely realized. There won't be any regulations. It cannot be stopped. What they fear most is that it will move in the same manner that you do, without their control. Before you even make your next move, they are observing, monitoring, evaluating, and attempting to forecast it. The reality is that they have no control over what they don't know. Silence is your best weapon because of this. It's simple to stop loud folks. They reveal their approach, make their intentions public, and allow the system to respond. However, those who move silently change the game before anybody is even aware that they are playing. Consider the greats. Those who achieve money, influence, and a lasting legacy while avoiding the pitfalls that are put in their path. They moved differently from everyone else. They didn't need approval. They didn't make their every move public. Because they realized that the loudest guy in the room is also the weakest. They allowed outcomes to speak louder than words. The majority of individuals make the error of believing that success must be declared, that progress must be visible, and that if no one recognizes your ascent, it isn't genuine. That is untrue. Genuine strength doesn't plead for notice. It functions in the dark. In the shadows, it gains velocity. And it's too large to stop when it eventually emerges into the light. The system depends on predictability to survive. They want to chart your next course of action. They want to predict your choices. They want to influence the result before it ever occurs. They can't follow what they can't see. But if you can master the art of quiet, they anticipate that you will speak, boast, and extend your hand. Therefore, do the opposite action. Allow them to believe that you are still while you are 10 steps ahead of them. Don't say more than is required. Your words are all data. Keep it safe. Take charge of your online presence. They are keeping an eye on every message, every tap, and every search. Construct silently. Getting rich takes time. Don't hurry to be noticed. Be untouchable in a hurry. Learn to be patient. The finest motions are executed with purposeful precision rather than in response. Only strike when the timing is appropriate, and when you do, be sure that no one can stop you. Your greatest strength is not wealth or influence, but rather mystery, because they are unable to stop it while they are unaware of what is about to happen. Not only has wealth altered your way of life, but it has also altered the way the world functions. Now everyone's watching you. Your ascension is causing systems to change. Surviving in this new environment involves more than simply preserving the money. It's about holding on to your job. The distinction between monitoring and security is not always clear. The system will claim that they are keeping an eye on you for your own benefit, and that this heightened scrutiny is a protective measure. However, until it's too late, control and protection seem to be the same. You have to use security without giving up your independence. Their ability to forecast increases with their level of knowledge. They can restrict you more easily the more they forecast. Limiting you makes it easy to ensure that you never advance beyond what they permit. Make sensible decisions. You need to be aware of your legal rights, including what they may and cannot do. Assuming that most people won't contest its authority, the system functions on obedience, but everything is altered by knowledge. Understanding structures, leveraging laws, and putting money in places where it is difficult to seize, manipulate, or drain are all necessary for becoming untouchable financially. You must maintain your spiritual integrity. Everything depends on your energy. You've already lost the instant fear takes hold, uncertainty obscures your judgment, and you start to question your stance. Awareness is your protection. Knowledge is your best weapon. It takes a new way of thinking to be this wealthy. You are now in charge of your money rather than merely someone who makes it, and control is crucial in this game. Before they are used against you, be aware of the regulations. Before the systems limit you, learn about them. Learn the approach before you're confined. Because knowledge is no longer only power, it is a matter of survival. They believe the change would go unnoticed. They expected you to remain little. However, you can't go back now that you're here. If you're locking in your power, leave a remark. Tell them you can see what's going on. Additionally, move silently when the time comes. Take what is already yours and strike without warning.